Danny Quinn never thought she'd end up zip-tied to a chair in an underground casino in Gangnam, staring down two identical faces that looked like they were deciding whether to kill her or keep her for themselves. And when she found herself falling in love with the two dangerous brothers who ruled Seoul's criminal underworld, she realized that stolen money was the least of her problems. The casino's back room smelled like expensive cologne and fear. Danny's wrists burned against the plastic ties, but she kept her chin up, refusing to give these bastards the satisfaction of seeing her panic. She'd hacked the wrong bank account. 2 million won. She thought it belonged to some corrupt CEO. Turns out, it belonged to the Kang crime family. Stupid. So incredibly stupid. The door opened. A man walked in, all sharp lines and expensive black suit. His face could have been carved from ice. Dark eyes swept over her like she was already a corpse. "You stole from us," he said. His voice was quiet, deadly. "I'll pay it back." Danny's voice didn't shake. "Good. With what? Your student visa and empty bank account?" Before she could answer, another man entered. Same face, completely different energy. This one actually smiled as he pulled out a chair, sat down across from her, and produced a knife. Danny's heart stopped, but he just cut her zip ties. "We're not going to kill you," he said, rubbing her wrists gently where the plastic had bitten into her skin. "I'm Jihoon. That's my brother Minho, and we're going to employ you." "Employ?" Danny jerked her hands back, blood rushing painfully into her fingers. Minho circled behind her chair. She felt him there, a presence cold enough to freeze. "You're skilled, talented even. We need someone with your capabilities. And if I say no?" Jihoon's smile never wavered, but something flickered in his eyes. He pulled out his phone, turned it toward her. On the screen was a photo of her little sister, Zoe, walking out of her therapy clinic in London. Danny's blood turned to ice. 1 year, Jihoon said softly. "Work for us for 1 year. Use your skills. After that, your debt is cleared. You walk away. Your sister stays safe." "And if I refuse?" Minho leaned down, his breath warm against her ear. "Then your sister's therapist gets a very unfortunate visit. We hear trauma patients are so fragile." The monster who'd taken Zoe 3 years ago had already broken her sister once. Danny had spent every day since learning to hack, to fight, to be strong enough to protect the people she loved. And she'd failed. The kidnappers released Zoe eventually, but the damage was done. Zoe barely slept, couldn't be in crowds, jumped at loud noises. Danny would die before she let anyone hurt her sister again. She looked at Jihoon, then tilted her head back to glare at Minho. "Where do I sign?" If you're loving this dark romance already, hit that subscribe button. This story is about to get intense, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Trust me, they moved her that night. A penthouse in Gangnam with floor-to-ceiling windows that made Seoul look like a carpet of stars. Expensive, soulless, beautiful in a way that made Danny's skin crawl. "Your room is here," Jihoon said, opening a door to a space bigger than her entire apartment back home. King-sized bed, ensuite bathroom, a desk with 3 monitors already set up. "Convenient that it's between both of yours," Danny muttered, noticing the 2 other doors flanking hers. Minho appeared in the hallway, jacket off, sleeves rolled up. Very convenient. The way he said it made heat crawl up her neck. She hated him already. Jihoon handed her a phone. "Your new number. The only contacts in it are me and Minho. You don't call anyone else. You don't message anyone else. So I'm a prisoner." "You're protected," Minho corrected. "There's a difference." "Doesn't feel like it." He stepped closer, and God, he was tall, broad, the kind of man who looked like he could break someone in half and wouldn't lose sleep over it. "You have 3 rules. Don't leave without permission. Don't contact the outside world. Complete every job we give you. Break them, and we'll remind you what happens to people who cross the Kang family." Danny held his stare, even though her heart was trying to punch through her ribs. "And the fourth rule?" His eyes narrowed. "There is no fourth rule." "Sure there is. Stay out of your personal business, right? Don't ask questions. Don't get curious." She smiled, sharp and bitter. "Don't forget I'm just a tool you're using." Something flickered across Minho's face. Surprise, maybe, or respect. Hard to tell with all that ice. Ji-hoon cleared his throat. "Get some rest. Your first job is tomorrow." He started to leave, then paused. "Danny, we're not monsters. Work with us, and this year will go smoothly. Fight us, and it'll be the longest year of your life." They left her alone. Danny waited until both doors clicked shut before she sank onto the bed, hands shaking. She pulled out the phone they'd given her, turned it over. Probably tracked, monitored. She was in a gorgeous cage with two beautiful devils as her jailers. 1 year. Just 1 year. She could survive anything for Zoe. Sleep didn't come. At 2 in the morning, Danny gave up and wandered out to the kitchen, desperate for water, for air, for anything that felt normal. The lights were off except for the city glow through the windows. Someone sat at the kitchen island in the dark, drinking what looked like whiskey. Minho. Of course. "Can't sleep?" His voice came from the shadows. "Can you?" "No." Danny moved carefully to the sink, poured herself water. Her hands were steadier now. Good. She refused to be weak in front of him. "You're not what I expected," Minho said. "What did you expect? Someone who'd cry and beg?" "Yes." At least he was honest. Danny turned, leaned against the counter. In the darkness, she could barely see his face, just the outline of him. Dangerous, coiled. "Sorry to disappoint. You didn't." He poured another measure of whiskey, then slid a second glass toward her. An offering. She shouldn't, but she did. The liquor burned going down, warmth spreading through her chest. They stood in silence. The city hummed below them. "Why did you steal from us?" Minho asked finally. "I didn't know it was you. I thought it was some corrupt businessman's account." "And that makes it okay?" "I needed the money." "For?" "None of your business." His jaw tightened. "Everything about you is my business now." "For 1 year. Then I'm gone, and you'll forget I existed." Minho stood, moved around the island. He stopped close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive. "I don't think I will." Danny's breath caught. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Whatever this is. Don't." His hand came up, not touching her, just hovering near her face, like he was deciding something. "You're right. This is a bad idea." "Then step back." He didn't. Neither did she. The moment stretched, tight as a wire. Then Minho grabbed his glass and walked away, disappearing down the hall to his room. His door shut with a quiet click. Danny released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. This was going to be a very long year. The first week was hell. Danny refused every kindness Ji-hoon offered. When he cooked breakfast, she ate in her room. When he asked how she was settling in, she gave one-word answers. When he smiled at her, she looked away. "Don't pretend to care," she snapped one morning when he asked if she needed anything. Ji-hoon's smile faltered. "I'm not pretending." "Yes, you are. I'm a prisoner. You're my jailer. Let's not dress it up as something it's not." She saw the hurt flash across his face before he masked it. Good. She needed him to stop being nice. Nice was dangerous. Nice made her forget what this really was. Minho was easier to hate. He barely spoke to her, just gave orders and expected obedience. But Danny challenged him at every turn. "Complete this job by tonight," he'd say. "Or what? Or you'll regret it." "You don't scare me," she'd lie, meeting his cold stare with her own fire. His jaw would tighten. "I should." But he never followed through on the threats. Just walked away, leaving her confused and angry. On day 4, she tried to escape. Picked the lock on her door at 3 a.m., made it to the elevator before Minho appeared from the shadows, like a ghost. Going somewhere? His voice was ice. Her heart hammered. I need air. No, you need to follow the rules. He gripped her arm, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to remind her who had the power. Back to your room. Let go of me. When you stop being stupid. She jerked free, glared at him. I hate you. Something flickered in his eyes. Good. Hate is safer. That night, she slept with a chair wedged under her door handle. On day 7, she tried again. This time she almost made it to the street before Ji-hoon's car pulled up beside her. Get in, Danny. No. Please, before Minho finds out. He won't be as patient as me. She climbed in, furious at herself for the tears burning her eyes. Ji-hoon drove in silence, then parked overlooking the Han River. I know you're scared, he said quietly. I know this isn't what you wanted, but running will only make things worse. How could they be worse? I'm a prisoner. You're protected. Same thing. It's not. He turned to face her. Danny, there are people who'd kill to get information about our operations. If they found you out there alone, unprotected. He shook his head. I can't let that happen. You mean you won't lose your leverage over me? Pain crossed his features. Is that really what you think? That you're just leverage? What else would I be? He opened his mouth, closed it, then drove her home in silence. One night during her second week, Minho caught her trying to hack their system, attempting to erase her digital footprint so she could disappear properly. She didn't hear him enter her room, didn't realize he was there until his hand slammed her laptop shut. Stupid, he said coldly. You think I didn't account for that? Danny shot to her feet. I hate you. You said that already. He crossed his arms. Tell me, what was your plan? Erase yourself and run. We'd find you in 6 hours. Less. Then I'd run again. And we'd find you again. And again. Until someone else found you first. His eyes were flat, emotionless. Is that what you want? To end up in a worse situation just to spite us? At least I'd have tried. For a moment, something almost like respect flickered across his face. Then the ice slammed back. I'm upgrading the security. Try this again, and there will be consequences. He left without another word. Danny waited for the punishment. For violence, for threats, for something. But nothing came. He just left her alone. She didn't know what to do with that. The next morning, Minho was waiting in the kitchen. You're training with me today. I don't need. You do. The people after us won't care that you're unwilling. Learn or die. Your choice. Danny wanted to refuse, but something in his voice stopped her. This wasn't a power play. This was something else. The gym was brutal. Minho taught her to block, to strike, to use her size as an advantage instead of a weakness. He came at her again and again, relentless. She didn't speak, didn't acknowledge his instructions except to follow them. Silent, angry compliance. You're holding back, he said after an hour. I'm tired. You're scared of hurting me or yourself, I don't know which, but fear will get you killed. He moved into position again. Stop thinking, just react. She tried, failed, tried again. By the end, she was bruised, exhausted, and still refusing to meet his eyes. Tomorrow. Same time, he said, and walked away. Meanwhile, Ji-hoon kept trying. He attempted to cook Nigerian food, produced something that looked like jollof rice, but tasted like a confused kimchi experiment. Danny took one bite and couldn't help it. She laughed. Actually laughed. Ji-hoon's whole face lit up. There it is. She shut down immediately. It's terrible. I know. Help me fix it? Why would I do that? Because you miss home, and I want to give you a piece of it. His smile softened. Please, Danny, let me do this one thing. Against her better judgment, she did. Showed him how to make proper jollof, the right spices, the technique her mother had taught her. By the end, the kitchen smelled like Lagos, and her chest ached with homesickness. Thank you, Jihoon said quietly, plating the food. For letting me in, even just a little. Danny looked away. Don't read into it. But they both knew something had shifted. Week 3, Jihoon started asking questions about her life, her dreams, what she wanted before everything went wrong. At first, she gave nothing, silence or sharp words designed to push him away. But he was patient, gentle, never pushed, just waited. What did you study? He asked one evening while she worked. Computer science. Did you like it? I loved it. What did you want to do? After graduation? Danny's fingers stilled on the keyboard. No one had asked her that in 3 years. I wanted to work in cybersecurity, protect people from hackers. The irony wasn't lost on her. Guess that didn't work out. It's not too late. You could still... I'm a criminal now, Jihoon. That door is closed. Doors can be reopened. She looked at him then, really looked. Saw something genuine in his eyes, something that made her chest tight. Why do you care? Because I see you, Danny. Not the hacker, not the prisoner. You. And I think you're extraordinary. She turned back to her screen before he could see how much those words affected her. You don't know me. Then let me. Oh no, Danny thought. I'm falling for him. She tried to pull back, became cold again, distant. But it was too late. Jihoon had wormed his way past her defenses, and now every smile felt like sunlight, every kind word like a knife, because she knew this couldn't last. 9 months. Then she'd leave. She couldn't afford to care. But she was starting to. And that terrified her. In month 2, a job went wrong. Danny had hacked into a rival gang's financial system, just like Minho ordered. But someone had been waiting, traced her location back. Not all the way, but close enough to rattle her. They know I am in Seoul, she told Minho, hands shaking. They're looking. Let them look. They won't find you. You don't know that. Yes, I do. His certainty should have been comforting. Instead, it made her angry. You can't promise that. You can't promise anything. He studied her for a long moment. You're right. I can't. But I can promise I'll die before I let anyone take you. The words should have sounded dramatic, overblown. Instead, they sounded like a vow. That night, Danny couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., she found herself on the balcony, staring at Seoul's glittering lights, trying to calm her racing heart. She didn't hear Minho approach until she felt weight settle over her shoulders. His jacket, still warm from his body. He stood beside her, silent, solid, just there. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Finally, he spoke. You handled it well today, Minho said quietly. Better than some of my men. Is that a compliment? Don't get used to it. But there was the tiniest curve to his mouth. Not quite a smile, but close. Danny's traitorous heart flipped. No, she thought desperately. Not him too. Anyone but him. Why don't you sleep? She asked, deflecting. Nightmares. The honesty surprised her. About what? Things I've done, things I've seen, things I couldn't stop. He lit a cigarette, offered her one. She declined. You? My sister. The day she was taken. Danny wrapped his jacket tighter around herself. I replay it constantly, wondering what I could have done differently. You were 20, a kid yourself. Old enough to protect her. No one's old enough for that kind of trauma. Minho exhaled smoke into the night air. But you're still trying to protect her. That's why you're here. That's the only reason I'm here. He glanced at her, something unreadable in his eyes. Is it? Before she could answer, he stubbed out his cigarette and went inside, leaving her alone with the city and her confusion. A week later, Jihoon left for a business trip to Busan. 3 days. Behave while I'm gone, he told Danny with a smile. When do I not behave? Should I make a list? Despite herself, she almost smiled. Travel safe. His expression softened. I'll miss you. Don't. Too late. After he left, the apartment felt different, colder. Minho was even more silent than usual, just grunted responses when she spoke. On the second night, Danny woke to shouting, Korean, anguished, coming from Minho's room. She should have ignored it, should have stayed in bed. Instead, she found herself at his door, knocking. Minho? The shouting stopped. Silence. I'm fine. Go back to bed. You don't sound fine. Danny. She opened the door anyway. Minho sat on his bed, shirtless, covered in sweat. His hands shook. He looked broken, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Bad dream? She asked quietly. Every night. He rubbed his face. You should go. Do you want me to? Long pause. No. Danny sat on the edge of his bed, careful to keep distance between them. Want to talk about it? It won't help. Might. He was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I dream about my parents, their murders. Sometimes I save them. Most times I don't. Tonight I watched them die 100 different ways and couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything. Danny's chest ached. How old were you? 16. Jihoon and I were supposed to die too. They shot our parents in front of us, were about to shoot us, when our security arrived. His jaw clenched. We were too slow, too weak, too. You were children. We were heirs. We should have been ready. No child should have to be ready for that. Minho looked at her then, really looked, and something cracked in his expression. You understand. I dream about Zoe's kidnapping every night, about all the ways I failed her. You didn't fail her. You were a kid, I know. But it doesn't change how it feels. Danny's hands twisted in her lap. Like if I'd just been smarter, faster, better, I could have stopped it. That's not how trauma works. Then why do you blame yourself for your parents? The question hung between them. Minho's laugh was bitter. Touché. They sat in comfortable silence. Finally, Minho spoke again, softer. Jihoon handles it better. The nightmares, the guilt. He processes things, talks about them. He gestured vaguely. Lock it down. Become ice. It's safer that way. Safer for who? Everyone. His eyes met hers. If I don't feel, I can't be hurt. If I can't be hurt, I can't be weak. If I'm not weak, I can protect the people He stopped abruptly. The people you what? The people who matter. Danny's heart hammered. Do I matter? You know you do. Say it. Minho stood abruptly, paced. This is a mistake. You're leaving in 7 months. Getting attached is too late for that, Danny said quietly, echoing something she'd overheard Jihoon say. Minho froze. What? I heard you two fighting last week, in Korean. I've been learning, by the way. Duolingo is very educational. She stood, moved closer. Jihoon said, You're being cruel to her. You said I'm keeping her alive. He said by making her miserable? You said better miserable than attached. She leaves in 9 months. Don't make it harder. And Jihoon asked, Too late for that, isn't it? You didn't answer. Minho's face had gone carefully blank. You shouldn't have heard that. But I did, and now I understand. Danny stepped closer. You're not cold because you don't care. You're cold because you care too much. You're protecting yourself. Danny, and it's not working, is it? Because you're already falling. Stop. Tell me I'm wrong. He couldn't. The silence was answer enough. Training the next day was different, charged. Every touch felt electric, every look lasted too long. Minho pinned her, teaching her how to escape a hold, his hands on her wrists, his body pressed against hers, both of them breathing hard. "Focus," he said, but his voice was rough. "I can't." "Why?" "Because of you." He froze. "Danny, tell me you don't feel this too. Tell me I'm imagining it." Long silence. His eyes searched hers, ice melting into something warm and desperate. "I can't tell you that." The kiss happened slowly, inevitably. Minho's lips on hers, gentle, reverent, like he was terrified of breaking her. His hands cradled her face like she was precious, breakable, worth protecting. When they pulled apart, both shaking, he rested his forehead against hers. "This is dangerous," he whispered. "I know. You'll leave in 7 months. I know. I'm falling for you anyway." Danny's eyes burned. "I know. Me too." His thumb traced her cheek. "What do we do?" "I don't know." They stood there, holding each other, the future looming like a storm they couldn't avoid. When Jihoon came home the next day, he found them on the couch, not touching, but close. Something had shifted, and he saw it immediately. "Hyung," he said carefully. "Did something happen?" Minho met his brother's eyes. A whole conversation passed in silence. Finally, Jihoon smiled, sad but accepting. Okay, Danny asked. "I'm not going to fight him for you. We're not going to do that." Jihoon sat on her other side. "But I'm not giving you up either." "What does that mean?" The twins looked at each other. Some twin telepathy Danny couldn't decode. "It means," Minho said slowly, "we figure this out. Together. All 3 of us," Jihoon added. Danny's heart hammered. "That's insane." "Completely," Jihoon agreed. "People don't do that." "We're not most people," Minho said. "And neither are you." "I don't know how." "Neither do we," Jihoon admitted. "But we'll figure it out. If you want this. If you want us." Danny looked between them. Minho, all ice and hidden fire. Jihoon, all warmth and steady devotion. 2 halves of something she didn't know she needed. "I want this," she whispered. "I want you. Both of you." "Then you have us," Minho said. "All of us," Jihoon added, taking her hand. For the first time since this nightmare began, Danny felt something like hope. If you're hooked on this story, drop a comment below. Let me know which twin you're rooting for, or are you team both? And don't forget to share this with someone who loves a good forbidden romance. The next few months were a study in impossible things working anyway. They didn't have a blueprint for this. No rules, no guide, just 3 people fumbling towards something that felt right, even when it looked wrong. Mornings belonged to Minho. Training sessions that were half combat practice, half stolen kisses against the gym mats. He taught her to be lethal, then held her like she was made of glass. "You're getting better," he said one morning, blocking her strike. "Good teacher." His rare smile appeared. "Or exceptional student." Evenings were Jihoon's, cooking together, his hands guiding hers as he taught her to make Korean dishes. Laughter and teasing and soft touches that made her heart race. "You're burning the garlic," he murmured in her ear. "You're distracting me." "That's the point." He kissed her neck, and she forgot about the garlic entirely. Nights were theirs. All 3 of them tangled on the couch, watching movies Danny picked. Minho's arm around her shoulders, Jihoon's head in her lap, her fingers running through his hair. It shouldn't have worked. By every logical measure, it was doomed. But it did work. Somehow, impossibly, it did. Month 5. The jobs got harder, more dangerous. Danny was no longer just hacking bank accounts. She was dismantling security systems, rerouting shipments, exposing corruption in high places. "You're invaluable," Jihoon told her one night. The families noticed. "Is that good or bad?" "Good. You're not just our hacker anymore. You're our partner. Minho added, some of the men have started calling you Agwang, the queen. Danny's eyebrows shot up. That's ridiculous. That's respect, Minho corrected. Don't dismiss it. But respect came with visibility, and visibility came with danger. The Cheongsu gang made their move on a Tuesday. Danny was in a cafe, meeting a contact for information. Simple job. Should have been safe. Should have been. She didn't see them coming until a hand clamped over her mouth and something sharp pressed against her ribs. Scream and I'll gut you here, a voice hissed in Korean. Kang's little pet is coming with us. They dragged her to a van, zip-tied her wrists, threw a bag over her head. Terror clawed up her throat, but she forced herself to think. Minho had trained her for this. Stay calm, observe, wait for opportunity. The drive felt like hours. When they finally stopped, they hauled her into a building that smelled like rust and rotting fish. A warehouse, probably near the port. Someone ripped off the hood. Bright lights blinded her. Well, well, a man said. Middle-aged, expensive suit, cruel smile. The twins' whore. I expected someone more impressive. Danny glared. And I expected someone less cliché. Really? The twins' whore? That's the best you've got? He backhanded her. Pain exploded across her face. Mouthy too. They teach you that? She spit blood. No, that's all natural talent. Another hit. Her vision swam. Here's what's going to happen, he said. You're going to call your boyfriends. Tell them to come alone, no backup, or we start cutting pieces off you. Starting with fingers, maybe moving to that pretty face. They won't come. Yes, they will. Everyone knows the Kang twins have gone soft over you. It's pathetic, really. Weaklings ruled by their dicks. Danny laughed, tasted more blood. You have no idea what's coming for you. Big talk from a tied-up girl. Not a threat, a fact. She smiled through split lips. You just made the last mistake of your life. Minho's phone rang during a meeting. Unknown number. He answered anyway. It was Danny. They had asked her to speak to him so that he could feel her panic. Minho-si, Danny's voice came through, strained but steady. They want you and Jihoon to come to the old fish warehouse on Pier 7, alone, or they'll start removing my fingers. Danny, it's fine. I'm fine. The line went dead. Jihoon was already standing. How many men do we have ready? 30, maybe 40. Minho was already texting, his face carved from ice and rage. Get everyone, now. They said come alone, they said. Minho's voice was deadly quiet. No one touches what's ours. Within 20 minutes, they had an army. The warehouse erupted in violence. Danny heard it first, gunshots, shouting, the sounds of men dying. Her captors panicked, guns drawn, focused on the doors. Now, move now. Minho had taught her this. When your enemy is distracted, strike. She drove her heel into the knee of the man closest to her. Bone crunched. He screamed, dropped. She managed to grab his knife with her zip-tied hands and cut herself free. The door exploded inward. Minho came through like an avenging angel, gun in each hand, face splattered with blood. Behind him, Jihoon, quieter but no less deadly. They moved like water, like they shared one mind. Every shot precise, every movement calculated. Danny had seen them as businessmen, as lovers, as brothers. She'd never seen them as this. Gods of violence, beautiful and terrifying. The man who'd hit her raised his gun toward Minho's back. Danny didn't think, just grabbed the fallen knife and threw. It buried itself in the man's throat. He went down choking. Minho spun, saw her standing there covered in blood, and something fierce and possessive blazed in his eyes. Then it was over. Bodies on the ground. Silence except for their ragged breathing. Jihoon reached her first. Are you hurt? Danny, look at me. Are you hurt? I'm okay. I'm okay. But she was shaking, adrenaline crashing. Minho holstered his guns, crossed to her in 3 strides, and pulled her into his arms, actually shaking. If they'd hurt you, if we'd been too late. You weren't. She clung to him, to them both. You came. Always. Jihoon whispered, wrapping around her from behind. We'll always come for you. They held her there among the bodies and blood. 3 people who shouldn't fit together but somehow made perfect sense. Back at the penthouse, Jihoon cleaned her wounds while Minho paced like a caged animal. This is my fault, Minho said. I should have had more security on her. Should have what? Danny interrupted. Locked me in a cage. This is the life you live, the life I chose to be part of. You didn't choose this. We forced you. At first, maybe. But I'm still here, aren't I? Even though my debt's been paid for months. Both twins froze. What? Jihoon asked carefully. Danny laughed, wincing as it pulled her split lip. You think I didn't do the math? I've completed jobs worth millions. Minho stared at her. You knew? Of course I knew. I'm not stupid. Then why stay? Jihoon's voice was barely a whisper. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being a prison and started being home. You stopped being my captors and started being... She couldn't finish. Couldn't say the word that terrified her. Everything. Minho finished for her. You became everything. Say it, Jihoon urged gently. Please, Danny. Just say it. I love you. The words tumbled out. Both of you. I'm in love with both of you. And I don't know what to do with that because I'm still leaving in 2 months and... No, Minho said. What? You're not leaving. You're staying. Here. With us. Minho, that's not how this works. I have a life. A sister. Bring her here, Jihoon said. We'll protect her. Set her up in therapy here. Get her everything she needs. You can visit whenever you want. But you stay. You can't just watch us, Minho said. His hands cupped her face, careful of her bruises. I'm not letting you go. I can't. I won't survive it. Neither will I, Jihoon added. Tears burned her eyes. This is insane. Then let's be insane together. Minho's forehead touched hers. Stay, please. Sarangi, Jihoon whispered. We love you. So much it terrifies us. Danny looked between them, these 2 impossible men who'd crashed into her life and rearranged everything. Okay. Okay? Minho's voice cracked. Okay, I'll stay. I'll bring Zoe. We'll figure it out. She laughed through tears. God, this is crazy. Best kind of crazy, Jihoon said, kissing her softly. Minho kissed her too, deeper, desperate. Mine. Ours, Jihoon corrected. Ours, Danny agreed. For the first time in 3 years, the future didn't look like survival. It looked like something worth staying for. Month 11 arrived too fast and brought disaster with it. The summons came on a cold Tuesday. The twins' grandfather wanted a family meeting. Immediate. This isn't good, Jihoon muttered, adjusting his tie. Minho's jaw was granite. He's heard about Danny. Of course he has. We haven't exactly been subtle. Danny watched them prepare, anxiety coiling in her stomach. Should I be worried? No, Minho said at the same time Jihoon said, maybe. They looked at each other. Minho sighed. Stay here. We'll handle this. Handle what? Family politics. Nothing you need to worry about. But Danny worried anyway. After they left, she paced, tried to work, couldn't focus. Something felt wrong. 3 hours later, they returned. Both looked like they'd been carved from stone. What happened? Danny demanded. Jihoon poured himself whiskey with shaking hands. Grandfathers arranged marriages for us. The words hit like a physical blow. What? Strategic alliances, Minho said flatly. Me to a Japanese Yakuza princess. Jihoon to a politician's daughter. The contracts are already drawn. But you can refuse? We did. He's calling a family council vote. If the elders side with him, we're removed as heads of the family. Our cousin Tae-jun takes over. Danny's heart stuttered. Can he do that? He can try. Minho's voice was ice. The vote is in 2 weeks. What will you lose? Ji-hoon met her eyes. The family name, most of our network, some of our men, a significant portion of our power. But not everything, Minho added. We keep our personal wealth, our skills, our reputation, and the men truly loyal to us will follow. So you'd be starting over. More or less. The weight of it crashed over Danny. They were willing to lose everything. For her. That night she couldn't sleep. She crept down the hall, heard voices from Minho's office, the twins, arguing in Korean. She pressed against the wall, listening. Brother, you're being reckless, Ji-hoon's voice. I don't care. I'm not marrying some stranger when... Minho's voice. When what? When we have Danny? She's leaving in a month anyway. She doesn't have to leave. She does. This life, this world, it's too dangerous. She almost died, Minho. She deserves better than us. She deserves to choose. Silence. Then Ji-hoon, quieter. What if she chooses to leave to protect us? What if she thinks we're better off without her? Then we convince her otherwise. How? By destroying our family for her? By starting a war? She'll never forgive herself for that. More silence. We're fucked either way, Minho said finally. Lose her or lose everything else. There has to be another option. Like what? I don't know. But we always find a way. We have to. Danny pulled back, heart shattering. They were willing to fracture their family, rebuild from nothing, all because of her. She couldn't let that happen. The next day, while the twins were meeting with their team, Danny sat at her desk and wrote 2 letters. Hands shaking, tears falling, words that ripped her apart. To Minho, you once told me you protect what's yours, but I'm not a possession to fight over. I'm a person who loves you too much to watch you go to war with your family because of me. You've given me so much. Safety, purpose, love. Let me give you this. Space to choose your future without me clouding it. Don't burn bridges you might need. I'll be okay. I survived before you. I'll survive after. I love you. To Ji-hoon, you taught me that love isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, consistent choices. So I'm making a choice. I'm choosing your happiness over my own, even if that happiness doesn't include me. You and Minho have something rare, a bond, an empire, a legacy. Don't let me be the thing that destroys it. You'd regret it eventually, and I couldn't live with being your regret. I love you always. She left the letters on their beds, packed 1 bag, called a cab. Incheon Airport was an hour away. Her flight to London left in 3. She'd be gone before they even knew she'd left. Minho found his letter first. Ji-hoon! His roar echoed through the penthouse. Ji-hoon! They met in the hallway, both holding letters, both looking devastated. She thinks we'd regret her. Minho's voice cracked. She's trying to protect us, like we've been protecting her. Stupid, self-sacrificing. Minho crushed the letter. When did she leave? Ji-hoon checked his phone. Security log says 40 minutes ago. Cab to the airport. She has a 3-hour head start. Then we move now. Ji-hoon was already calling. Get everyone. Every man who'd follow us. We're going to the airport. We can't just... Watch me. 30 men. That's how many showed up within 20 minutes. The core team. The ones who'd been loyal since the beginning. The ones who'd grown to love Danny's sharp wit and fierce heart. She's running, Minho told them. Trying to save us from ourselves. Who's coming? Every hand went up. Let's go get our queen, Ji-hoon said. They moved like a small army through Seoul, cars racing toward Incheon, sirens and traffic be damned. Minho's phone rang, their lawyer. The elders met early, the man said. We presented your counter-proposal. And they're considering it. legitimizing operations, brokering alternative alliances, keeping Danny as chief technology officer instead of a romantic partner publicly until the transition is complete. Most are on board. A few needed persuasion. Did they get it? They did. Minho exhaled. So we keep everything? Everything that matters. You'll have to be discreet about the relationship for 2, maybe 3 years. But yes, you keep the empire, the family, and the girl, if you can catch her. We'll catch her. Danny stood at gate 23, boarding pass in hand. The call for her flight echoed through the terminal. This was it. The end. She was doing the right thing. She knew she was. So why did it feel like dying? Danny. She spun. Minho and Ji-hoon burst through the crowd. 30 men fanned out behind them like an honor guard. People scattered, stared, pulled out phones. Danny's heart stopped. What are you doing here? The vote is in 3 days. We already made our choice, Ji-hoon said, breathless. You, Minho added. But the family. We spoke to the elders, made a counter-proposal. Ji-hoon smiled. We negotiated. You negotiated. Minho reached her first, cupped her face. You think we'd throw away decades of strategy for pride? We're smarter than that. We found a third option, Ji-hoon said. We always find a third option. Tears streamed down Danny's face. But you said you'd choose me. We did. And we chose our future, our family, our work. Minho's thumb wiped her tears. Because guess what? You're part of all of that now. You don't have to be the reason we lose everything, Ji-hoon added. You can be the reason we build everything. The elders agreed to this? Minho's smile was dangerous. Most of them, the ones who didn't, were persuaded. It's not perfect, Ji-hoon admitted. We can't take you to family events yet. Can't post couple photos. Have to pretend you're just our business partner in public. But behind closed doors, Minho's voice dropped. You're ours, completely. And in 2 years, when the transition is done, Ji-hoon grinned. We're putting a ring on that finger and daring anyone to say something. Danny laughed through tears. A ring? Singular? You'll have 2, obviously. Minho pulled her close. She dropped her bag, threw herself at them. They caught her, held her between them, their team cheering and whistling behind them. You really found a way, Danny whispered. For you? Ji-hoon kissed her temple. We'd find 1,000 ways. Now come home, Minho said. We have an empire to run. Together. She nodded, unable to speak past the emotion choking her. Together, she finally managed. They walked out of the airport, her in the middle, both of them holding her hands, their team surrounding them like a protective wall. People stared, cameras flashed. Let them look. This was her life now. Complicated, unconventional, dangerous, perfect. The future stretched ahead, uncertain but theirs to build. Not ruined, not sacrificed, just transformed. And for the first time since this whole impossible thing began, Danny Quinn knew exactly where she belonged. Home. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Drop a comment and let me know what you thought. Team Minho, Team Ji-hoon, or Team both. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more addictive Afro-Korean romance stories. Share this with your friends who love dark romance and why choose stories. What should I write next? Let me know in the comments.